Welcome back to the Oz Cro Soccer Show. It's time for us to introduce our guest this week. They don't come any larger than this in stature and in their performances over their years. Coming in as a young man into the Sydney Croatia lineup, he jumped into the frame between the sticks and never looked back. He's taken on his career at Sydney Croatia. He grew into his role. Got himself into the national squads and then found himself overseas with short stints in the UK before he ended up at AC Milan, play under the tutelage of none other than Carlo Ancelotti, who's in the Champions League this weekend. And then playing days wrapped up, found himself at Sydney FC, Melbourne City, and now in the lovely sunny side waters of Baška Voda, NK Urania Baška Voda. Welcome to the show, Željko.
How are you, boys? All good?
Oh, not as good as you, mate. You've already got the tan happening from the early start of summer over in Croatia. How is Baška Voda this time of year?
Yeah, it's pretty nice out there. I got to admit, the Buddha's awoken today. It's decided it wanted to get busy a little bit. We've got about 29 degrees, but the Buddha is having a bit of fun out there today. But it'll be all good tomorrow.
That's the way, mate. How did it all come about? When we last spoke to you on our sister program, the Football Out West show, you just left Greece. After being with Tony Popovic there at Xanthi, and then went to Croatia for a bit of a break. And how did everything eventuate that you ended up then coaching a third division side, Urania?
I basically got thrown under the bus by a mate of mine, Stephen Torpic, who's been over here, and they were in dire straits. They were dead and buried, and he played there for 6 or 7 years. And they've got a 100-year anniversary this year, so they said, "Please come and help us. You're here anyway." And that's how it eventuated. I took over. I went and watched one game that they played against Split. They lost 5-0 at home, and oh my God, it was like this is an impossible job. But we took it on, grabbed the bull by the horn, and off we went. And it was an experience. Let me give you the tip. It was an experience of a lifetime. I've never seen anything like this in football. Anything.
Oh,
what I've
really?
seen here. Oh, mate, chaos. Absolute chaos. Like
good. I was going to say good, bad, or ugly, but I think you've just answered my question there.
We ended up. I come in. They had 1 point. They'd scored 3 goals and conceded 46. And that was 7 games to go before the halfway break, before we even got to December. And then from there, we ended up getting to 9 points before Christmas. We got to 9 points, and I actually told the club, I said, "These 9 points will get us safe." I said, because the second half of the season we'll get 20-odd points, and that'll be enough. And that's how it was. We put together. We got them fit, structure, organisation. I got rid of, mate, a shitload of foreign players that were just no good, and just brought in Croat boys that wanted to play and wanted to work and listen. And to be fair, the boys were great. The boys were great. It's a good level. You know, I think they underestimated the level of the league. That they thought players could come from outside, from lower levels, and they just can't. But and really to save ourselves with, we beat Otok last week, which was the nail in the coffin for Otok, and that was incredible. Like I really did think it would go down to the last game, because we were 11 points behind them when I come in, and to finish 8 points ahead of them was pretty amazing.
That's a superb result, I think. Is this a gig that you're planning on taking on for another season, or how do you think? Undecided.
We'll see. Look, the main objective this year was so they didn't get relegated. That was the main thing, and we made a miracle happen, and we've achieved that. And now we'll see what the club wants to do. It's not easy to get good players in, and they're all about results here as well. And when I come in and wanted to play football, and they're pulling their hair out, playing out from the back and stuff like that, they'll go, no, I said, mate, just play football. I think it's a very good level for young players. Like 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds. I think it's a very good level for them. And if you can build your side around young players like that with 4 or 5 experienced players around the 26, 27, 28 years old that are good characters, it's actually a very good platform.
Now, sorry, Josip.
I was going to say, look, in comparison to the leagues that you've seen here in Australia before you parted for Croatia, would you have a comparison league that you can compare it against?
It's MPL level. It's MPL one, like the top teams in these HNL3, they're good sides. They've got money behind them. They're good sides. It's MPL level. It's hard to say to you, like, mate, Urania Baška Voda, for example, if they played against my Sydney United team would give them 7 komada.
Yeah.
But now towards the end of the season, Sydney United would still win, but maybe by 2. But this team was built very poorly. The top teams are Jadran Ploče and Primorac Beograd and Zadar. They're good sides, very good sides.
Good. And Primorac Beograd, as we know, Tonj, young Nicholas Valarovic is over there, who's come over from North Geelong.
He's at Stobric. Primorac Stobric.
Oh, he's at Stobric. Oh, sorry,
that's the 4th tier. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, there's so many Primoraces there over there.
Yeah.
But the Treća Liga is actually going to get restructured. So for those not in the know, up until now there were 5 divisions of about anywhere between 14 and 16 clubs all around the country. Next year there's going to be a unified Treća Liga, and then the 4th divisions are going to splinter off and what you're not. What's happening with that? How many teams from the Treća Liga, the Jug, are going to go into this unified group, or are they sort of still waiting up and tossing up all the criteria and what you're not?
Yeah, and this is the problem, and this is probably why I haven't decided on what we're going to do yet. Everyone's waiting for the same thing. Everyone's waiting to see what this Treća Jedinstvena is going to look like. Now, with what I've seen, just being here, this 3rd division is actually very good. Now, I don't know what the Treća Jedinstvena is going to look like. It could be very good if it's trained for professional players. I just don't understand where they're going to get the money from. Like, good teams in the 3rd division in Croatia spend 2 million kune, 2.2 million kune.
Yep.
Hey, that's a lot of money, and that's only playing in their areas. Like my furthest trip from here, okay, I'm a little bit central, so Dubrovnik, we still got 2.5 hours to Dubrovnik. We still got 2.5 hours to Posedarje, near Zadar. So there's still travel. So this 3rd division, you're going to have, ne znam, here in the 3rd division, Zadar can definitely go in that. They got everything that needs to go. Junak Sin can definitely go in it. Neretva can definitely go in it, but I don't know if they'd want to, because it costs money. I've heard that the Savez is going to support for the first 2 years, but guys, the 2nd division spend about 3 million kune a year. I don't know how they survive. How's the 3rd division going to survive? Mate, financially, I don't know how they're going to do it. I really don't know.
Interesting and enigmatic times ahead in Croatian football. Josipe.
So cool. But look, it's interesting that you compare it to MPL structure over here. Well, in terms of managing a side, when you've managed sides here, like at Sydney United, and you've been involved in the coaching sidelines, assisting and goalkeeping coaching, how in-depth and hands-on do you have to be in the role like this here, say in comparison to managing Sydney United? Is it like for like, or do you have to get a little bit more dirty?
It's like for like. I was lucky when I was at Sydney United. I had Mark Ivancic and Sam Krislic behind me, so they basically just said, "Starty, do what you want." Here in Croatia, everyone's Mourinho. Oni svi znaju, a nemaju pojma. Nemaju pojma. Right? Nemaju pojma, a svi znaju sve. Samo i pijete.
So are we talking about the club administrators?
Sounds like a T-shirt for the tournament.
Mate.
Svi znaju, a nema pojma.
Man, and that's what it's like here. If you talk to them, they're all talking about players, and like you would think that they've had my career and I played for the Cello. That's when you talk to them. That's what it's like. So it's hard work. Oh, mate, it was an experience and a half, let me tell you. But Yeah, lucky we got strong character, and we don't bend over for anyone. So at the end, it was a great experience to see what it's like to work with these people over here. And I think the higher you go, normally the better it's structured. Like you go to Zadar, they got the right people in every department. Baška's only a small town, like it's only a small club, and it really is it's a beautiful club for young players to play football. And as the people say, and as the mayor said to me, all we want is to guštat in our team. So we don't want to be in this position where we're fighting for relegation. If we're sitting in the middle of the table, make guštating, we can have roštilje, we win at home. Ako uzmemo nešto away from home, we take something away from home. But that's what you're dealing with here. Everyone's a Mourinho.
But it looks like like getting back to Baška Voda. I mean, it looks like a very, very picturesque stadium. I've sort of my experience of Baška Voda is going from Metković towards Split, just stopping off there and having the best grilled fish I can ever recall. That was several years ago. But look, it's got a homage to Vukovar. It's got the red, white, blue seats. Must be a very, very patriotic style club, which is would that be a fair summation?
Big Croats. Big Croats.
That's what I'm looking for. Yeah. Big Croats in Croatia.
The mayor, my first meeting with the mayor when I took over, he said, "Mate, I've heard about you. I know what kind of person you are, but the main thing is I heard you're a massive Croatian. I to je za mene dobro." So no, it's a beautiful club.
Bottom drawer.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful club, and really, it can be a platform for a lot of young players to go on and have careers. At the moment, it wasn't in great shape, but the second half of the season, we now actually look like a club. Now we have to see what's going to happen with these divisions. You know, what's going to happen with the Jedinstvena. Where are we going to be? Which player is going to go where? So everyone's sort of in the same sort of position, waiting to see what the structure is going to look like.
Now, you did mention. Sorry, I'll see if
maybe you're saying the same thing, Tonch, but you're
probably, I reckon.
Yeah, you mentioned the young players a few times. Would you say that this is an environment that if a young player from Australia who can't find their way through the pathway in this country, as you know, it's not the best at the moment, and venture out to somewhere like the third tier of Croatian football, would they get a great experience out of it?
I think, look, with what I've seen now, I think for 18, 19, 20-year-old young Croatian Australian boys, I think if you're not in an A-League environment, it's very difficult that you're going to get that chance as a young boy. You might as well come here. They've got to 20, 21 to develop. And here in Croatia, what happens is that I have to start every match with 3 players under the age of 21 in my team. So they have to play. I had one of the youngest squads in the second half of the season because every player that I brought in was 18, 19, 20. So I had a very young side. That young kids, they give you enthusiasm. They don't complain when they have to run. You know, older players, zašto ovo moramo, ko će ovo više radit, you know, and it's a great development league for them. And I tell you, these young players that I brought in now, they didn't know what it was like to play in relegation football. So they learn a lot this year what it was like to fight for relegation. It's easy to play football when you sit middle of the table, you can't go down, you can't go up.
Yeah.
You fight to survive, you claw, you kick, you scratch, you get what you can out of every match.
Yeah.
We sort of covered that a little bit. Yeah,
we did, and actually, Neil Kilkenny, who appeared on our sister program, Football Out West Show on Sunday, actually spoke that said one of the things Australian football needs is promotion relegation. And we've heard administrators talk about it, we've heard fans talk about it, we've had media commentators talk about it. Now we're actually hearing players talk about it, and that do or die sort of cutthroat environment breeds the best. Željko, you said you brought a lot of young players in. Were they from the local area, and how hard is it to attract players to Baška Voda? Did they come from as far as Split or Dubrovnik or Zadar or Zagreb? Where did they come from? Where did you find these players?
Mate, we ended up getting players, all these young players that weren't playing at the clubs that they were at. And so when I first came in, I had 8 foreign players here, and I got rid of them after a week. And all I said is I want young Croats. Mate, if he's Croat from Australia, if he's Croat from Canada, if he's Croat from wherever, it doesn't matter as long as they're Croats. Just bring me Croats who understand. When I get angry in Croatian, they understand exactly what I'm saying. And I've actually got one. I had one boy before Christmas from Australia, and I got another boy that come to me from before Christmas, young Christian Slunski as well. So Metkovic, Zadar, where else did they come from? Yeah, Zadar, Metkovic, Makarska. So they're all local. Split. I've got nine or 10 from Split.
Did you drag any over the border from Chitluk or Posuše?
I got one Bosanac, but he's a local here. He's a local. He's been here for like 10 years, so he's a local. But yeah, no, we can only have 2 foreigners. So the foreign section's a little bit harder. And these young boys that are coming from Australia, as long as they're in the EU or they've got a Croatian passport, then they should give themselves a chance. You know what? They'll learn a lot. And Australia's always going to check that for them, mate. Australia ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
Now you can speak from personal experience about young Australian Croatians coming to Croatia and doing well. Your boy Oliver, goalkeeper for the under-17 national team, he's now in Croatia, and I believe at NK Trešnjevka, which is in the Croatian Third Division up in the Središte or the Sjever or something like that. How's he going? I saw some highlights of a recent game, I think, from last weekend, and he pulled off some ripper saves against a Ponikve or someone like that from Zagreb. How's he finding it up there in Zagreb?
Well, look, again, with Ollie, it was, he was a Western Sydney Wanderers, so he was in the A-League environment, but he's playing with kids. So he's playing in the MPL2 with kids. So he's playing with kids his own age, and they don't develop, and he's not really going to get an opportunity in the A-League that young as a goalkeeper. So once they develop, you bring him here. I was actually lucky because he trained with Dinamo for the first months that he was here, and then he continued training with them 2 times a week, plus training with Trešnjak and playing for Trešnjak. And playing with men, that it actually means something. Bonuses, relegation, and, he developed as a person. The one thing I will say is that you got to be lucky that you get a club that trains properly. Not every club in the third division train properly. Like, there's some really good clubs in Zagreb as well that train professionally, pay good coin, who want to go to this Jedinstvena Liga, and they're up the top. Trešnjak is down the bottom. They saved themselves just recently, but what he's learned is how to fight relegation, how to fight for your spot. When you make a mistake, hoćeš igrat or you're going to sit on the klupa. Not, I've made a mistake, don't worry, kid, you're going to play again next week. And nećeš, because the coach is going to get the sack.
Yeah. Yep. Great point. Hey, Tonch, we've got a question sitting for us in the viewers spot, mate. Do we want to go to that?
Let's go. Yeah.
So Maxi Sentic is throwing a question at you, Spider. What was it like to arrive at AC Milan for the first time, and which teammates do you keep in contact with today?
Yeah, it was pretty surreal the first day that I walked into Milanello, especially when you walk in, and I think everyone, when thinks of AC Milan, think of the 3 Flying Dutchmen. And, you walk in and you see that picture of Gullit, Van Basten and Rijkaard as soon as you walk in, and, it hits you in the head. Well, funny enough, they won on the weekend, and I text Malda and I text Dida, who are both involved in the team at the moment, and they responded within 2 minutes of the text. So, yeah, they're still in contact with them when I need them, or to say hello to them or something like that.
Yeah, good stuff.
Now, I was going to ask, sorry, go on.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. You're right.
Now, I was going to say, while we're on talking about some of the past and some of the great memories. Now, Spider, is it true when Croatia won the World Cup? When Australia got qualified for the World Cup, I think it was in 2005, 2006, or whatever it was, and that's when I think there was like 6 Australians, Socceroos of Croatian descent. Now, there's a rumor that you got the whole Australian dressing room singing Volim Piti or something along those lines. Even the non-Croatians were singing. Now, is that true? Is there an ounce of truth in that rumor?
I can't remember that far back, mate. The stupid things I done when I was younger, mate. I can't remember half the things.
I would have loved to have seen John Aloisi or Harry Kewell singing Volim Pity with the rest of the Australian Croatian Socceroos. It's legendary, yeah. Zila, you've got a question to ask, yeah?
Yeah, mate. Just in regards to your influences, both from a playing and a coaching perspective, look, probably none greater than sitting around and listening to Carlo Ancelotti giving you his peace of mind. But your greatest influences in terms of playing and coaching, and also on the back of that, do you think that Aussie Croats looking for a coaching career could venture into Croatia and make a go of it?
Look, I was lucky. I played under some great managers, but yeah, you know, when you grow up, I don't think people realise the influence that your parents have. Like my old man was top notch. He was hard as nails, mate. Seriously, he was hard as nails. And even when I thought I played the best game ever, he always found a fault. And I think that was inspirational for me, like to always try to please him, try to play better. And then your mother's there doing your washing and making sure you're fed and developing like that. Then as you get into the professional environment, you know, I was lucky. I had Ronnie Corrie, who was an unbelievable goalkeeper coach who I developed remarkably with, who was another one who wasn't afraid to play young players. And a lot of coaches just buckle under the pressure of playing young players, and he wasn't one. So I was lucky there. And then I come to Europe, and obviously, you know, Ancelotti, he's a genius, but character and the way he controls the dressing room. I had a guy in Holland that was fantastic, Seth Vergosen, that no one probably even knows about him. He was a fantastic manager. And then you know, you look at all these people that you've had and that you've learned things from in your career. You know, even as players, you watch other players and you watch their demeanor and their character and their personality, and it sort of molds you into the person you want to be if you take a little bit off everyone. And that's sort of how I go about my coaching job. Now, would I recommend Aussie coaches coming to Croatia? Yes, I would. The problem is here, mate, they don't respect us. That's the problem.
Yeah.
They don't respect us. And they think da oni znaju sve, a vjeruj mi, oni nemaju fucking pojma. And that's and that's the reality, because we have some really good coaches in Australia, and our education and the way we develop is very good. Here is a result-driven industry. If you do not win, you get the bullet. Mate, it's as simple as that. They will not give you time.
Yeah. Well, we spoke to one of your ex-teammates, Ante Milic, who was on the show last week, and he said that he's hoping to catch up with you, and he's probably going to go over there for a complete and utter break, Josip, apart from some sevens on the island of Hvar. But do you reckon he might become your assistant or something there at Baška Voda, or maybe somewhere else at some other club? Could you two link up somewhere in Croatia?
Ooh,
Who
link
knows?
up.
Mate, Teza is good enough to get a job in the HNL1. The problem is they will not give him a job. That's the problem. That's the problem here. But they turn around and say, "Ma vi klokani, šta vi znate, nije to kao u Australiju," and that's their mentality. That is their mentality. If you see some of the football guys, mate, I'm not being funny. You watch the HNL1, and you watch some of the football, and it's actually, they are so defensive orientated that it's scary, because they're so scared of losing their job.
Yeah. And they just shut up shop. Was that a similar type? Did you find that similar type of environment in Greece when you were there with Popper at Xanthi? And is that something that's prevalent throughout Europe, or is it just sort of, you know, kind of Croatia?
I don't think it's. You need time to build a system. You need time to play a certain brand of football. And if someone comes in and he's got it, and they're not used to that, they're not. I'm playing HNL3, mate. I'm playing here with the Medvedi, right? And mate, you should hear the people screaming from the grandstand when we're playing out from the back. Ma nabi dugu, šta se igrate? Because they don't know any better. They don't. Mate, that for them is not normal. You know, I had a player from Junak Sin, a stopper that come to me, and he said to me, "Treneru, mate, no one's ever taught me this. They tell me, get the ball, I nabi dugu. That's it." And mate, I feel sorry for these players.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen in HNL 1 and HNL 2. You've got your Varaždins that try to play and maybe another 4 or 5 teams, but the other ones are just playing for survival.
Did that have an effect that players were like this fella from Junak Sin? Did that actually have an effect that after the game, players are coming up to you and saying, "Mate, I want to play a piece of it. Can I play at your team? Can I come to you? Can I trial?" Whatever the case may be. Did it start to attract a little bit of interest from the side?
Look, we can attract players because Baška's a beautiful place to live, a beautiful place to play football. The problem is here is financially, you can't compete with some of the other clubs. Some of these clubs, mate, there's guys like Gabric who played 300 games in HNL 1. Mate, Zadar's got 2 stoppers that are, mate, they're quality players, but they cost. And you know, they're not going to come to Baska Voda to play for 2,000 or 3,000 koruna. Let me give you the tip.
Mate, we could go on and on and on. Josip, have you got any last questions?
No, mate. I'd just like to thank you for sharing your time and that insight. It really is. It's great to see you going over there and venturing out and expanding your horizons in that environment, but also sharing that perspective for look, the young viewers to see about players who are looking for opportunities outside of the A-League structure. But even so, I know you mentioned that the coaches will find it hard because they won't be listened to, but you never know. You might find some tough character like yourself who'd want to come in there and to shake it up a little bit.
Oh, there are good coaches here. Don't get me wrong. There's some good coaches here. I know that that really want to play a good brand of football. But at the end of the day, if you don't go and you don't risk and you don't take a chance, you're never going to know. You're never going to get it. And young players, I always believe they have up until 21, 22 to create a professional career for themselves. I think in Australia, a lot of people put too much pressure on young kids that they're ready to play by 19. They're kids. They're not ready. They're actually not ready. They need to develop, and they need to see the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah. What a wonderful insight into what a young player should do or what a young player should aspire to. Željko, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to hearing some great things coming from Croatia, or when you get back over here to Australia eventually. But whatever you decide to do next season, we wish you all the very best. But in the meantime, go out and get some rays. Go out and enjoy yourself when the Buddha subsides, and enjoy that coastal lifestyle down at Baška Voda.
Hey, the boys, thanks. Enjoy.
Hey, the Bog. Hvala lijepo.
Good on you, Željko. Željko Kalac, very entertaining character, very, very insightful, very informative insight into the truth. The truth is, if you're going to make it, you're gonna really have to experience not just the highs. You're going to have to be prepared to experience the lows, and it's a tough gig. But it makes his achievement all the more incredible. That in that, against all adversity, against all the difficulties, and the saving grace for him was that he's a big Hrvat.
Yeah, there you go. So if you want to be a big Hrvatina, make sure that you're prepared to go to clubs like Baška Voda, who'll take you in with open arms. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go.